Engine Performance 1 Test 1, and this is from the textbook chapters 1 and 2. This particular first chapter here is some of your safety stuff, and also, you know, looking after the shop well, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on each question as long as you know the answers. Infections that can be transmitted by the blood are called bloodborne pathogens. Just about everybody knows that. Some of the wiring under the hood of a late model vehicle is encased in bright orange covering.
High voltage.
Yeah, that's high voltage, like on a hybrid vehicle. Hybrid vehicles can have hundreds and hundreds of volts there. What is the maximum pressure that should be used with compressed air nozzles if you're going by the ocean?
30
What was that?
30.
30, and that's, does everybody like that answer? That 30 sound pretty good to you? Has anybody in here ever used a nozzle with that low of pressure? Not that I know of, you know, but 30 is what, theirs are actually, the ones that's got little holes in the side, you know, are supposed to keep it. Now this is another thing, and you're spraying air pressure, if you spray it against your skin, if you, and believe it or not, and under some conditions, if you're spraying it pretty high pressure, it can go into your bloodstream, and if you get air in your bloodstream, what happens? You're a dead man. Air can cause your heart to lose its prime, so be careful about blowing your skin with the compressed air. See what I mean? It's just not good to do that, and horsing around with it and all that. Which air impact drive size is the most commonly used?
Half-inch.
Yeah, half-inch. That's the one that we use to take off tires and all. Although there's more and more people that are using quarter-inch drive impact wrenches and 3/8 drive impact wrenches now because of the nature of things. Technician A says clicker type torque wrenches should be calibrated regularly. Clicker type, yeah, I don't like the sound of that. The one that you screw the handle to squeeze the spring to get to the right torque where it'll click, those have to be calibrated regularly. The other one we used to torque wheels around here, the big long snap-on one, it's a split beam. You don't have to calibrate it all that regularly, not like you do these other ones. Also, on the ones that you screw up there to squeeze the spring and get to your reading, when you get through using one of those, you need to take it back to 0 because it doesn't lose its calibration. It's really important to do that. On the snap-on one or this other split beam torque wrench we got, you don't have to worry about putting it back on 0 because it doesn't matter. Just remember that. That's just quickie. Technician B says to store clicker torque wrenches at their minimum setting. And when he says clicker, he's talking about it as opposed to the one with the needle. We got the one with the needle too. So number 5 is basically going to be C. If the first character of the VIN, the vehicle identification number, is an S, as in Sam, where was the vehicle made?
United States.
Mexico.
Everybody like that question? Believe it or not, it was made in England. The 10th character represents the year of the vehicle. If the 10th character is a Y, what year is the vehicle?
2000.
How do you know this?
Was it 2000?
2001. They didn't use I, O, Q, U, or Z, right? You remember those letters? They started in 1980 with A. They did not use I, O, Q, U, or Z. And then in 2000 was Y because they didn't use Z. In 2001, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then in 2010 they started back with A again. And they still don't use I, O, Q, U, or Z. I've got a little thing on the door out there with all of those on it. So just remember that. They don't use I, O, Q, U, or Z. Remember that. Can you say that? They don't use I, O, Q, U, or Z. I remember a 95 is F because the number 5 starts with F if you spell the word. S looks like a 5. Excuse me, that was 85. And then S looks like a 5 for 95. And then Y, is 2000 and so on and so forth. You can figure it out if you count off from P. P is 93 because P and 3 rhyme. I did it that way,
Y2K.
Yeah, there you go. Y2K, big deal. Got it. Never thought of that. Let's see, the vehicle safety identification certification label includes what?
All these.
Yeah, that's it. Where do you find it at?
On the inside of the door.
Yeah, you open the door and you see it in there. Where is the best place? Let me ask you this. This is a question that's not on the test, but where's the best place to get the VIN?
The windshield dash. Yeah, on the dash.
Why the windshield the best place? I'm not saying you're wrong.
Like looking down, I don't know, it's just easier.
It's a great place to do it. On most of them. What happens if I have actually seen more than one car come in here, and a lot of the times a body shop, when a car has been run into the side of and they need a door or the door work, you'll hear them. If you're listening to the body guy, he'll say, "Send me a door, a purple one if you have one." So they send him a purple door that's exactly the same color as the vehicle, and now the vehicle certification number that's on that door has a serial number that no longer matches the vehicle. You got it? Parts House. Hello, Parts House. I don't even know if I need those seals. I mean, this is just a cover that doesn't even, I don't even know why we would need seals. I mean, I may be dumb. Do you need seals of any kind? I mean, I don't think there's any seals needed. I mean,
One for the water pump. The one is selling anything.
okay. Don't sweat that right now. All right. Okay, that's fine. Okay, all right. We'll send it back if we don't need it. Thanks. Oh, he was just trying to load us up with stuff here. All right. Which character of the VIN indicates engine code? The eighth one, yeah, that's the 8th digit. Now, it's not the same on every vehicle. The year code is going to always be the same on every vehicle, as far as for specific years. But the engine code is going to vary from vehicle line to vehicle line, car to car, and all kinds of stuff. Like, for example, the 8th digit on like an F-150 that's like a late 90s, there's two different engines in that truck. If it's got a 4.6, and there's a Romeo and there's a Windsor, okay? And the Romeo is indicated by a W. And I think the Windsor is indicated by a 6. Now, why couldn't they have done it the other way? You know what I'm saying? The engines look almost exactly alike, but they're slightly different. But anyway, let's go on now. What's a free internet site that contains case studies of problems and successful repairs? You know it's not All Data because you got to pay for that. You know it's not Mitchell because you got to pay for that. IATN. You can get on there. It's a freebie. Now, if you sign up for IATN, make sure you don't check all the boxes and say you're an expert on everything, or tomorrow morning when you boot up your email, you'll have 483 emails. I'm serious. Because they're going to know, what are you the most knowledgeable about? You know, and if you say, I'm most knowledgeable about Chevy, GM, electronics, then you'll just get questions about that. But if you just put in there, say, I'm an expert in everything, you get deluged with emails, more of them than you can ever answer, because it's basically, it's vaguely similar to Identifix, but slightly different. What type of notification relates to repairs that are always covered by the manufacturer, correct a safety or emission-related concern?
C.
That's a recall. Where was the first recall? You remember whenever the Pintos used to get run into the back of them and they'd blow up? That's where that started. Technician A says most factory service manuals cover several years in models. Technician B says most aftermarket service manuals will cover only 1 year in model vehicle. What is that? That's neither technician is right about that. You know how we used to identify the vehicles? If you looked in the shop manual, how you could identify which vehicle you had, and before the serial number thing, like back in the 60s and 70s, they had a whole page that had a picture of the front of the cars. So you could look in, because every year they changed the body style on cars. Now pickups, no, but cars, up until 1977, the body style changed every year on just about every American car out there.
Tell about the headlights and taillights?
You sure could. I could tell you when a car was coming up behind me and I'm driving, if I could see the lights in the mirror, I could tell you it was a 64 Chevelle or whatever, you know what I'm saying, just pull that out of there. But I could tell you what it was by looking at the shape around the headlights and all. And nowadays, in about 1977, they started making them the same year after year for a long time. It was kind of a pain. Okay, let me see here. Which type of screwdriver can also be used as a chisel?
Either A or B.
You're not supposed to use a screwdriver as a chisel. Who pays any attention to that? Most people don't pay attention to that at all. Just always make sure you put on your safety glasses. Refer to the picture below. Choose the correct name for that tool. Duh. That's not all that is a wrench. It's a combination wrench. Is that what it is? What do you think? Did I say that right? It's a combination wrench. What about the next one?
Flare nut wrench.
It's a flare nut wrench. That's basically the one you're going to use to take off your power steering lines and brake lines, all that kind of stuff. Why are they different? Anybody know?
Has more grip.
The flare nut is going to get egg-shaped and round off if you try to get it off with a regular wrench in some cases. So what you're wanting to do is not egg shape or round that thing off. So you want one that'll grip it like a box end, but it's got to have an open if you ever done one like that, I mean, rounded it off or something, you know, that becomes a pain because then you got issues to deal with, and so it's best to use a flare nut wrench if you can find one that'll fit. Technician A says wet asbestos is known as hazardous waste. Technician B says dry asbestos is known as solid waste.
Neither.
Who's right about that? And neither one of those guys are right. Technician A says brake fluid's hazardous after it's been contaminated with metals from the brake system. Technician B says dispose of used brake fluid in a special container. That says both technicians. I'm going to tell you about that though. I had a 5-gallon bucket out here that was completely full of brake fluid because I'd been saving it in a special container, right? And you know, because of what we read in these textbooks. So, and maybe I shouldn't say this on YouTube, but the safety clean guy is the guy that carries our waste away. I mean, he comes and carries our waste away. And there was a special guy that was a specialist. You know how much it costs to get rid of a bottle of trash refrigerant? Like you've got a bottle that's got mixed refrigerants in it that you've pulled out, $2,000. He wants to take that thing away from here. I think I can store it for a while. But I asked him, I said, what about this brake fluid here? You know, how much you charge to get rid of that? He said, just pour it in your waste oil. I said, really? I mean, I thought you were supposed to save that. He goes, nah, we'll take it, just pour it in waste oil. I said, well, I hope you're telling me the truth. I got the guy's card. But I mean, he said, pour it in waste oil. He said, don't worry about it, ain't a big deal. And I said, okay. But I mean, I guess if you're, you know, splitting hairs, you know, whatever. Technician A says used brake fluid can be poured down a sewage drain. Now, I wouldn't do that. Technician B says brake fluid can be mixed with used engine oil for recycling. Who's correct about that? See, this is neither technician, yet the safety clean guy, and these guys are certified waste management peoples. You know, this guy wasn't talking out of his hat. I mean, they know how to do all this stuff, which is not a criteria the EPA uses to define used engine oil.
Color?
Think about it, yeah. Well, color, actually.
Origin.
Yeah, color. I mean, they couldn't care less. EPA couldn't care less about the color of it. That's not a criteria. You got to look at, it's kind of like ASE questions. You know, all of these are correct except, all right, one of these is not true about used engine oil. Which one is it? A, it can be used for other purposes. B, it can be mixed with used antifreeze. C, it must be stored in an approved container. D, it must be recycled. It can be recycled more than once. Which one is not true?
B.
It can be mixed with used antifreeze. That's another safety clean deal. I had told the guy, I'm not going to mix them. But I told him, I said, whenever he's pumping the oil out, I said, there may be some antifreeze in here because one of my guys poured some antifreeze in there. He said, we don't care. We separate it when we get it over there anyway. You know what I mean? So, like I say, take that with a grain of salt because, like I say, I kind of trust Safety Clean because they charge the big bucks and they know how to handle stuff, you know. So, I'm not trying to undermine the guy that wrote the textbook, but whatever. Technician A says major sources of chemical dangers are from solvents containing chlorinated hydrofluorocarbons. Technician B says solvents can be reclaimed so they can be reused. That's C. You can actually do that. So Technician A says solvents with a flash point below 140 degrees are combustible. Technician B says solvents with a flash point above 140 degrees are flammable. Who's correct about that? D. We were cleaning injectors one time, me and Mark, the guy that was I was training at the time. And when he disconnected the injector cleaning machine, the vehicle we had done it was a Ford Tempo, and it was running a little warmer than Ford Tempos usually run, and the gas that came out of the line when he took the line loose, when he hit the exhaust was hot enough to where it was past the flash point of the gasoline, and it caught fire. And it was, you know, flames licking up behind the engine down there and all that between it. And he was jumping around acting like a wild Indian, you know, ooh, 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 like that. And, you know, what are you supposed to do whenever something catches fire? Are you supposed to jump around and go, whoo, whoo?
Yeah, you're supposed to panic.
It was Panic City. So I got a fire extinguisher and put it out. We didn't even damage the car. Keep your head, man, when a fire starts. The other day, I told you about this. I may have mentioned this the other day. This guy pulled a Bronco 2 in there, and when he shut it off, for some reason, smoke started coming from under the corners of the hood. And he says, open the hood, open the hood. And when he opened the hood, there was just nothing but fire that came up. Ah! He dropped it, open the hood again, open the hood. Well, the problem, if you set one on fire, if you set it on fire, if somebody calls, you got to fix whatever burns on your own time, you know, if you're working on commission. So be careful not to set one on fire. I used to set one on fire about once a year. I do it on purpose, but, you know, it'd be sometimes happen. That's why you're supposed to check spark before you check fuel pressure. That makes sense? Don't check fuel pressure or wet the top of the engine with gas and then check spark, pop, 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 poof. I mean, believe it or not, some people don't think of this. Have you ever seen, y'all ever set one on fire over there?
Not like
Yeah.
that.
Oh man, we have. I mean, we've set them on fire. You know, it's you better be thinking on your feet, man. Don't jump up and down. Okay, and go ooh 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 like he was doing. Let me see. Technician A says solvents currently in use in a parts washer must be labeled. Technician B says safety cleans a vendor that recycles and disposes of used solvent.
Both.
There's our safety clean people. You know, that's, well, actually B only. That is really, I don't really know if I like that answer because it seems to me like the way that things go, that you're supposed to label it. But, you know, this one over here is just that aqueous hot water one that we use. Technician A says lead acid batteries may be disposed of in landfills. You know better than that. Technician B says all automotive battery retailers must post a sign with a recycling symbol visible to customers, and that is B. Technician A says to fill gas containers completely full in order to reduce vapor formation. Technician B says all gasoline containers should be red in color. That's B only. You're supposed to leave a little bit of room in there for expansion and contraction. That's why your gas tank's made the way it is, so that it can have an airspace in there. Let's see. Which is not an acceptable method of disposing of used tires? You're not supposed to do what to dispose of used tires? Landfill, burn in a cement kiln, shred for use in asphalt, or retread.
Landfill.
Yeah, you're not supposed to put them in landfill. Eons ago, whenever people were burning, you know, piles of brush that they knew was going to be hard to catch on fire, and they would throw a tire in there and they'd set fire to the tire.
Have you heard about that tire landfill somewhere, I think northeast, that's been burning for like 30 years or something?
Yeah, they burn and burn and burn and burn and burn. They don't ever stop burning. I mean, well, there's a tire, not a tire landfill per se around here, and they actually take tires and categorize them and sell them, you know, for used. I mean, they sell used tires over there. That's what they do with them. They recycle the tires. I'm gonna say this though. Let me say this about tires. If the tires on your vehicle, Dustin, are older than about 6 years old, you don't need to be running them. You notice the Cadillac over here has got the gangster white walls on it. He bought the gangster white walls after the old tires that were on there that were 10 or 12 years old threw the tread driving down the road. Messed up one of the fender skirts. You know what I mean? Goofy me, I had an 80 model Ford pickup I was driving that was, the tires looked really good, but it threw the tread off the tires like that and, you know, messed up one of the rear fenders and all that. But if it's an old tire, you can throw the tread. It'll still be holding air, but you're riding on a steel belts, you know. When handling an airbag, what precautions should be taken? Always put the airbag module facing upward. Always carry an airbag pointing away from your body. Wear protective gloves if handling a deployed airbag. All of these. How many of you have not seen the airbag I deployed in the Lexus last time that broke the windshield and all that stuff? That was an explosive deployment. I mean, it really was. And y'all saw it. You saw it. Were you here when we did that?
I saw the video.
Yeah, that was nasty, wasn't it? I mean, it was, you know, sitting behind that thing when it lights off. Can you imagine
Oh
what
wait,
that would
I
be
was
like?
here.
Yeah.
Because it started smoking the car up.
Yeah, it smoked up the car. A container of liquid has the following label. What are the handling requirements for the liquid? And this is the label right here.
Yeah, what was 28?
Oh, 28, I didn't tell you 28 is D. All of these.
I'm gonna say B for 29.
Oh,
Oh wait,
you're-
no, sorry, A.
A, yeah, there you go. 29 is A. And 30, technician A says a visual inspection. In other words, safety glasses, gloves, ignites above 100 degrees Fahrenheit and minimal toxicity is what that is. Technician A says a visual inspection can determine if the brake linings contain asbestos. Technician B says it's okay to blow brake dust with compressed air.
Neither.
I got in here when I was the first semester I taught. I mean, and it was, you know, like 15 years ago. I got in here and I told everybody, we don't blow brake dust with compressed air. And the first thing they did when they got out there is they pulled the brake drum off. One of them guys went, psh, just blew compressed air off. I mean, I don't understand, don't do this, and they do exactly what you told them not to do. And I think all he heard was the part where I said, do not blow. He didn't hear the do not or something, I don't know. Okay, now then, let's see. Which one? That was, 30 is D. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna